There is a substantial risk of loss associated with trading forex, binary options, stocks, or equities, collectively, asset classes. Only risk capital should be used for trading. Trading in any asset classes is not appropriate for everyone. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. No representation is being made that investors will make profits, or will not sustain losses. Before trading in any asset classes, investors should consult with their professional broker, financial advisor, or financial consultant to determine whether trading asset classes is appropriate. Investors who trade in any asset classes should only do so if the capital used for this purpose represents funds that an investor can afford to lose without adversely impacting the investor's lifestyle. No trading strategy or methodology is without risk of loss. No trading strategy is risk-free, and no trading strategy can guarantee profits or freedom from losses. Investors risk losing the cost to execute any transaction, including associated commissions or fees. You should carefully consider whether trading in any asset class is appropriate for you in light of your investment experience and financial resources. Any trading decisions you make are solely your responsibility and at your own risk. None of the statements or materials in the Auvoria Prime chat rooms constitute a solicitation or recommendation to buy or sell.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Developer Insight Call. Today is Thursday, February 9th, 2023. I'll give a couple updates about Arrow, Market Maker, Red Light, Green Light, and then I'll leave it open for questions. Arrow, no updates as of right now. Red Light, Green Light, we are still testing, making some tweaks to make sure that we have consistency. Gold is not a pair that you want to play with. All right, and Market Maker, we are making it a little bit safer. So a lot of feedback coming back from the community has been around the wild swings. Both in the good way and the bad way. And so right now we are working on making it, I don't want to say safer, but limiting the wild swings. As you guys know, Market Maker trades the index market, and so the goal is to shorten a lot of the TPs, make it more into a scalper style of trader. That way, potentially more trades, but smaller losses, as well as smaller gains as well. It's all about instead of trying to go for the 20, 30, 40, 50% months like we saw last year, we're looking to bring it down to like 8 to 10%, which is very good, and limit the the downside. So utilizing, like I said, again, the same settings, same algorithm, just working on turning it more into a scalper so that the community feels a little safer on using it long term, and we have less wild swings. Also, from a scalping setting, we're finding out that there is better parity on brokers, meaning that we won't have to worry too much about a lot of the so-called preferred brokers because of the shortening of the actual take profits and profit locks. So that's the big updates when it comes to Market Maker and slowing down on the actual release of that. The goal, again, just to make it a little safer to use long term and on multiple brokers across the world. A lot of people are using brokers that they prefer and things of that nature. So those are the updates. Don't have any expedited times as far as launch. We're trying to launch. The goal is to launch Red Light, Green Light, and then on that same launch call have the update for Market Maker. That way everyone can pretty much both versions go out at the same time. That's what we're aiming for. So I'll leave the updates now and let everyone ask the questions they have, if they have any questions at all. If you have any questions, you can put it into the chat, or you can unmute yourself, and we'll go ahead and answer those questions. All right. We got somebody on mute. Guys?
Yeah, Nathan. just talking about like the amount of trades and so on that you're looking to take. As an example, like last night, MMT for me took 4 trades, 3 on the US, 1 on a DAX, and all 4 were losing. This is like a daily basis for me now. I put on there yesterday that I've lost about 40% or so since November.
What broker are you on?
I started off with Pepperstone. I then changed to AiMM after reading a lot on Discord. I'm now gone to Vantage, and same results on all 3.
Not really familiar with Pepperstone, but it's funny you say that. You know, November was probably the 2nd best month for market maker. October was number 1. Then AiMM, you know, everyone that I know uses AiMM actually made money November and December. AiMM, the users didn't start losing until this year when AiMM lost their MT4 license and MT5 license, and now they had to switch over to use a different broker. So they're not even using the same LP as they used to use. So AiMM is no longer, again, I've talked about this, they're no longer a preferred broker just due to the fact that they lost their license, and they're not even using the same liquidity provider that they used to have, which is why their performance is not the same since the end of last year. But everyone that was using them going into last year had, the last 5 months of the year, all had positive performance. Vantage, most people that I know use Vantage quit using Vantage to switch to IC markets, as well as to multi-bank if they were available or able to move to multi-bank.
Yeah. So like November for me was fantastic. At the time I Pepperstone. Up until the end of November, you know, I'd probably made about 68 odd % of my account using Pepperstone. And then once we got to the end of November, that's when it all started December. That's just where everything has changed for my account. So
what made you, if you were at 68% with Pepperstone, what made you leave Pepperstone? I mean, I know you were reading about AiMM, but even AiMM wasn't doing that type of returns in November. I think they had, most everyone I knew were probably in a 25 to 30 range, depending on what their settings were.
Total change on my account. So I think there was 1 month I had about 25 or close to 30% for the month, but just total change. That's where I'd got to, and then I started having consistent losses in December.
Which broker? AiMM? Or
no,
Pepperstone?
That was with Pepperstone. So it was like every day was a losing day. So I thought, well, looking at chats, everybody talks about the brokers being a big part of it. So that's why I opted to change. And yeah, once I changed, it was with that Mugen one on AiMM. And I stayed with them for maybe only a week and a half because their commissions were ridiculous. I placed my own trade with them, and it took, I think, 25% or something of my profits on commissions. So that's why I changed from then AiMM to Vantage. And since being with them, it's been the same results every single day. So that's why I'm on today to see, like, if there was, when the updates were going to happen, to see what changes were going to be made.
Yeah, I've got a feeling that I'm probably just need to put out. Again, typically the way we do it is I say we because I've got a team that helps me out when it comes to re-optimizing the software. So what we typically do is just re-optimize the software with the current settings. We just re-optimize them based on the last 3 months. new months, and then we put out an update. But we wanted to make it safer by limiting it. I've talked to my team. The goal is to get these more of a scalper settings out so that it's smaller trades, smaller losses, higher win rate. Is what we're starting to see. It's what we're seeing with the scalper settings, especially with the wild swings in the market, especially in the index market right now, because the index market is heavily correlated, with the economy. But it sounds like I'll have a updated version put out first, so everyone can use that and get back to some level of normalcy, and then look to turn around and put the scalper version out later on. That way, we don't wait too long to put that new version out. Do you know with Pepperstone? I'm curious for it to go from 68% returns to total losses. Have you checked with them? Did they lose their license as well? Because I know a lot of these brokers have started losing their licenses and have started to switch over to different LP providers or different brokers they're having to piggyback off of, like you see with IMG. They're using Mugen, however you pronounce that. Did Pepperstone, did they make any announcement or anything? Do you remember at that time about any issues they had, any changes?
No, they've had no changes.
Okay.
I've actually tried now. I do believe in your program. It's just unfortunate that the last 3 months have been such a shocker. I've got Pepperstone now on another EA, just as a demo, and it's going really well again. So I might go back to Pepperstone yet.
Okay. Appreciate the feedback. I will take this back to the team, and we'll be expeditiously. I'll go ahead and put that regular re-optimization version out first, and then we'll get the actual sniper settings out for more of the scalper trades. Just keep in mind that whatever broker you're using, the longer the quote times they have, the better. Meaning that quote times is how you can actually look that through the specifications. That's how long the broker or the LP that the broker utilizes allows for that pair to trade. Some people will pick the wrong pair. Like I know with Vantage, they have got multiple NAS and US30 and DEX pairs. Again, I don't use Vantage that often. Actually, I don't use them at all. I'm not allowed to, but I can get demo accounts from people that are able to use them, and I can actually test them out as I've had before. And you have to select the proper pairs that have the right settings. Actually Vantage, Multibank, IMG. There are a few brokers that actually created separate pairs just for market maker that have longer quote times. So as long as the quote time is more than 20 hours, then that's the pair you want to use. I don't know if if you've checked that, but make sure to check that and make sure with Vantage you're using the pair. The index pairs that have quote times that are longer than 20 hours.
You see that, I suppose Vantage, they've got the cash one, and then the futures is what they call it.
Yeah, without me actually seeing the actual quote times, I really couldn't tell you what's what. I'd have to see the actual quote times.
Right. One last question, Nathan. What is the LPs and so on that you were talking about?
Great question. So LPs are liquidity providers. So they're for the most part banks. They are the ones that offer the liquidity to the market. For brokers. So brokers, if they are A-book brokers, so actually all brokers have a liquidity provider. They do two things. Number one, they provide price. So brokers, they project the price on the chart based on what is given to them from the liquidity providers. All right, so that's so they actually have the price, the charts. They have the that price feed, from the liquidity provider or from the market itself to the actual broker. So that's the number one thing they do. Number two thing they do is once you place a trade on your account, or a bot places a trade on your account, there's a commission that the broker takes. That's how they get paid, unless they're a B book broker, and then they make money other ways. But if they're A book broker, then they pass that trade on to the liquidity provider. So if your trade loses, the liquidity provider takes your money and transfers it to the liquidity provider minus their spread. Minus their fee, their commission. And if the trade wins, then the money comes from the liquidity provider to the broker, and then that's how the broker ensures that money is in your account. So they are LP, the liquidity provider. They provide the liquidity for the brokers to, for the most part, pay you as you win. So brokers aren't having to come out of their own pocket. So the brokers really are just the middlemen on this whole transaction.
Rightio.
And so different liquidity providers offer different price feeds, offer different services. Some liquidity providers will actually work with you from the stance of, again, some of the ones we've talked to, we've had opportunity to be able to change a lot of the brokers or create new pairs through certain brokers that have longer quote times. That's why a lot of people saw the huge spike in price, because I believe when we made the last 2 updates ago, what was that? That was August. So August, September, October, and November were market makers' 4 best months ever. You had people that were, in those 4 months were doing, 50% to 86% a month every month. It was 50%, 56%, 67, 86. You said 68. People had great. Those 4 months were the best. That was due to 1, the optimization, and then 2, getting a lot of those brokers to actually provide quote times longer than the 20 hours that was preferred, because again, the actual market is only open for about 16, and so the more hours available, the more data that market maker has, the better it does. And so with the scalper settings and the way we're doing it now, it will allow market maker to not need as much data to ensure it has the correct trend, and that has been the issue, is that it's needed so much data, and now with the scalper settings, it's only going to need the data from current day. So it'll be it's gonna need less data. Therefore, it'll be it's already showing to be more profitable, because it uses less higher time frame data, and we're using more lower time frame data, which is more available with all brokers. So that that's the fix we're trying to bring, or actually not trying, we will be bringing to ensure that we have more profitability long term, less drawdown, less profits, because of the scalper setting. So that's the goal. Kind of difficult to re-explain, but that's as easy as explain it. That right now.
Rightio. Well, thank you.
Nathan.
Wayne, how's it going?
Yeah, I've actually been going pretty good with MMT on Vantage. I also have it on another broker, Go Markets, but like Garrett said, or Gaz says, lately it certainly hasn't performed, but since the start of this year, I haven't actually lost any money, but I haven't made any money. And prior to Christmas or last year, I was up about 70%, so happy days. But nice. Recently it's turned on me, and I noticed there's been a lot of red folder events, which I've cut the risk to half or turned it off completely. So my question to you is, are we going to have not trading in the news factor when the red folders are out? Because here in Australia, getting up and turning on and off at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning doesn't really work all that well. And the second question is, what would your preferred broker be?
All right. So first question for you was, what was that second broker you say you're using?
Go Markets.
Okay. I've heard of them. All right. So to answer your questions, number one, we are bringing a newsletter to the market maker. So we had one in the beginning. We took it off because market maker actually performed very well with news. with the way news is working now, it's pretty ridiculous. 2 days, Monday, we saw the market, climb 4,000 pips, drop 5,000 pips, and then climb up again 6,000 pips. I mean, the market's all over the place, right now and it wasn't even really red photo news. It was just a Fed Chair Powell had a speech, and so, just craziness right now. So the strategy is, yes, we're going to bring out a news filter. The news filter is going to be very unique from the stance of you pick and choose what you want. So, for sure, it doesn't, it's set right now to allow you to turn off news altogether. So you can select, hey, I don't want to take any trades an hour before news. And then whatever you pick for before news, it'll be the exact same after news. So if you select an hour, then it won't allow you to take, any trades an hour after news. We may adjust that so there's both options on both sides. The news is only set for orange folder and red folder, as green folder typically has no effect. And then the other unique thing about the news is that with the news filter, you can also set it to where if you want, it'll just reduce your risk before news. So let's say that there's a trade 15 minutes before news, you can actually set it to actually, instead of not taking a trade at all, it actually can reduce your trades. So if you're using 1% risk, you can set it to cut your risk in half, by 25, 50, or 75%, or just turn it off altogether. So there's that option as well for those who still want to trade news but just want to minimize their risk. So that's what we're bringing out. Also with the news filter, it will actually be on your charts as well, showing you exactly when news is going to be. That way you don't have to worry about looking at the actual news itself. It's pulling up the I think Forex Factory is who we're using, so you won't have to actually pull up forexfactory.com to see the news and understand what you need to do. You actually can see the news on your chart itself. So that's the first question there. First answer for your question. So before I answer your second question, was there anything else you want to touch about on the news?
And my other question was, your preferred broker now?
Sure. So as far as preferred broker, I don't have one as of right. Well, I have one, but I don't want to release it yet because they have not finalized everything. So there's a broker here that I use now. I'll say it's FX Sway. So FX Sway is the broker that I'm going to be, once they're done, and again, that's why I didn't want to release their name, because they're creating a preferred, or I'm saying they're creating a regulated side. So right now their broker is non-regulated like most brokers. Their spread, I'm saying their not spreads, their leverage is 1 to 500, but they're actually getting ready to create a regulated broker. I don't know if it's going to be underneath the same name or if they're going to change the name, but the company itself is going to own a regulated broker. Their spread, their leverage will decrease because, of course, that's the rules around regulations. But they're going to have they're going to have a different liquidity provider, which will allow for them to make all the adjustments. So my goal is to get with them. I actually supposed to be meeting up with the owner this week to have lunch. So my goal, with them, which we've already talked about, is that once they're regulated, to create, all pairs, even with red light, green light, and gold, they will have all the necessary things needed for each pair to ensure that market maker and red light, green light works the best. I'm going to negotiate commissions as low as possible. We've already talked about that they'll be able to be lower than regular commissions. So I've already got that commitment that we can lower the commissions from just regular pairs. That's number one. Number two, we'll be able to increase the quote times so that, if needed, we can do so. Again, I'm trying to avoid that because I'd rather just have a bot that can work on any broker no matter what. That's the goal with the new version of Market Maker and my approach with red light, green light. And spreads, also negotiating to have as close to raw spreads as possible. The broker has, to a certain extent, agreed to not take a commission. A spread at all. And the only thing that'll be, as we call it, a raw spread, it'll be a spread that the actual liquidity provider requires, because that's how they get paid. And so that'll be the only spread that, because most brokers, if most people don't know, that most brokers typically get, let's say, a spread of like 0.1, 0.2 on most pairs, and then they add on top of that. So if you see 0.5, or 0.3 or 0.7 or a 1 spread or a 2 spread or 3 spread, a 3 pip spread, as you can see sometimes on the GBP pairs, that's because the broker is adding additional spread on top of what the liquidity provider requires, and they're making additional monies. So, we've already talked to him, the owner, and he's agreed to allow for, as of my last conversation with him, to have the raw spread, which is just the liquidity providers, what they require, and then nothing else. So trying to make it as favorable as possible. That way it's easier on the commissions with everybody. But then also, we have a favorable liquidity provider. The actual liquidity provider that they utilize is the one that IC Markets use. And IC Markets is one of the current preferred brokers. IC Markets and Multibank currently have the best performance long-term. Everyone I know using Multibank and IC Markets that have been using it for at least 6 months or more, they're all up anywhere between 150 to 286% was the highest I've seen between those two brokers. So it'd be good to have the same liquidity provider, because we know that they can. We know it. Market maker performs very well on that broker. I mean, with that liquidity provider. I'm sorry.
So when's the next available update then?
So my goal is to put it out in 2 weeks. I'm gonna have just a re-optimized version of the current version. So we'll re-optimize it like we always do. And then immediately after that, the goal is to finalize the version with the scalper settings that should allow for better performance on multiple brokers, due to the fact that it needs less data. And that's the issue with Market Maker, is that it needs so much data, and some brokers offer less than others. And all brokers that offer more data always have the best performance. So I don't want the broker to be a issue for Market Maker. I want Market Maker to have similar performance across the board. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the re-optimized version out, within 2 weeks, because we have to test it for a week. So gonna have it done this weekend. That way we can test it next week, have it out the week after, and then look to have the new version, it'd be version 3. Look to have that out with within hopefully 2 to 4 weeks after that, because we do have to test that. Since it's a newer version, it'll be a brand new version. We'll have to test that for 2 weeks, and that's just the after the glitch we had in July. Those are the new protocols. We have to have thorough testing from a third-party company as far as testing the code out, but then also testing it, and with the small group that we have that does all the testing. We have to do all that before we can actually release it to the public. So 2 weeks, we'll have the re-optimized version out, and then after that, I'll have a better idea of when the new version, or version 3, or whatever we end up calling it, version 3, version 4, whenever that version comes out.
Thank you.
All right, Jason, Ron, anybody else got any questions? If not, I'll say I appreciate everybody, sticking in there. I am working tirelessly to ensure that we have the safest and best performing bot long term, and not just for the short term. I know everybody enjoyed the huge short term wins. My goal is to continue the wins, but I want to ensure that they are long term and not just for the short term. So I appreciate everybody that's sticking with us until we bring out this newer version. And I won't rest until it's out. So with that being said, I appreciate everybody jumping on the call, and we will end it here. And I'll talk to you guys in the chats, and see you next Thursday. Thanks.